don't think, there's not one person in here that won't say, I don't want dog shit in my backyard without a dog.
It should never be under tillable land. I think we can all agree about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Productive land should not have these solar panels.
Right.
No, right.
Put them out at airport. Those runways are being used for nothing. China's building these things.
Sir, do you
not
own
being
any
built.
land? Do you own any land?
I do own a lot of land. That's why I'm here.
Have to write letters to the House Bill 118, to Senate Bill 52, to the Siding Board. Everybody, get everybody that you can to write a letter and send it and tell them what you're feeling, what you want. It's all it's going to come down to, basically. It's power in numbers, right? So this is what we have to do.
Go ahead.
My question's for you, Shane. My name's Carl Rayburn. I have written the power boards. I've written everybody. My question for you is I've written a letter to the governor in February. No response. Is there anything you could do to bring up our concerns to him to see if he can look into this or do something to help us out?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, if you send me a copy of that letter, I will enclose it in my letter to the governor.
I copied and sent it to you already.
When did you send it? When did you send that?
I responded back to me a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so I responded, but that, okay. So I did respond. A legislative process, the catch to that is that it's probably not going to get passed it quick enough to get it before you hear these. It's one of those. Let me, and I'll do this. I'm more than happy to do this. Reach out to see if we can increase the notification standards, and I can talk to some of the people that deal with these projects and say, hey, you got to bump up your notification so they know it's coming. Or when you write to the Power Siting Board, put in there that I'm not just talking about these two projects, but I'm talking about any project. That's your right to do, and I would encourage you to do that if that's how you feel. I said you're very powerful.
I don't want to see my younger siblings grow up in a community where we're going to have to look out all of our windows around our house and see solar panels, because I have a 5-year-old little brother and he means everything to me, and I don't want to see him grow up in a school building that's got nothing but solar panels around it. And I like my community and I like the people I'm around, and I don't want to see them be upset with everyone, including Shane, that we are getting solar panels, because we have to convince our schools to send in letters, because us as young people are going to be the ones that change their opinions.
So what I told you earlier is that statement right there, if she can come to the Power Siting Board, is going to mean more than any letter I can possibly write. She can speak to the process, and I applaud you for your speaking here, and I hope you can come up, and I'll make sure you get to wherever you need to go.
Matt Long. I live out on the end of Glade. How many people in here got the good neighbor agreement?
Got offered or signed it?
Got it given to them, mailed to them. One? Two, three? How many other people have these things going up around their house?
Yeah, I got the FU neighbor letter.
Yeah. Look into that paper and what it's saying in there. Because the way I've read that, I'm not the most literate man, but it says you sign it, you agree to them going through, under, across your property, you give up your rights to your minerals. They can change that agreement at any time they want. And if you don't sign it, you're agreeing to it anyway. That's the way I'm reading that paper. That's why I want to know if there's a lawyer that's seen it.
To the county commissioners, if any of these folks want to see you, do they need to come when you're in session, or do they need to call and make an appointment, Jeff, or how you want that done? Same thing, make an appointment with your commissioners. if you want to talk to them about this and go any further. If there's no other question, if anybody's got a question, speak up now because we'll wrap this up.
I got a question. If this thing goes through, what kind of tax incentives does Clinton County get? What kind of tax incentives does Highland County get? Because that can have a bearing on how decisions are made.
Well, that's up to the commissioners.
I don't care who answers the question.
1.8 million a year revenue comes in from this project.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Have you got the formula?
Do I got what?
Have a formula that says we have.
That's what they told me.
Okay, here's an issue, and I wasn't even gonna get on this pilot program. I tried to get out here without it. The problem with the pilot is they say our commissioner's got 2,000, correct, on the top of the 7? Okay, and then it's gonna be, they have 2,000 for government, whatever they wanna use it for, and then the 7 gets divided up like our taxes, and so much goes to the school,
Yes.
and so much goes to like, whatever you do with it, to the taxes. And the problem is, Bill Fawley, do you want to talk about that?
They'll be paying 1.4 million for the 7,000 that will be divided up. And these are very rough numbers because I don't know for sure where all the panels are going to be sitting, and we have to tax this based on where the panel sits. So therefore, until we know where the panels are, how much of it is in East Clinton School District and how much is in Lynchburg Clay, most of it is in Union Township. There's probably, 250 acres or so in Dodson Township. So,
Bill's 500 acres south of me in Dodson Township.
no, I'm talking about just the
Bill,
Palomino.
we're referring to the Palomino project.
I'm not talking about the.
Just tell me from now.
Palomino is the only numbers that I have run thus far, because the other ones are even still a little more up in the air. But out of this, the health department get roughly $26,000. MRDD, well, I'm sorry, we're not allowed to call it MRDD anymore. DD, Developmental Hills and Dales, would get approximately 120,000. Children's Services would get about 25,000. East Clinton School would get about 440,000. Lynchburg Clay would get about 350 or 60. Great Oaks would get about 75,000. Then the townships would get roughly 43,000 along in there. Paint Valley Mental Health would get about 27,000. Clinton Highland Fire, and there again, the 2 fire districts I split also because I don't know yet how that's going to fall. But roughly, Clinton Highland would get about 75,000. Lynchburg Area Joint Fire would get probably 85 to 88,000. And the Sabina Library would get about $9,000.
The question was going to be, let me try to get my head back together. Is there any way for you to know, 1, know how much electric is actually going out of there? 2, no way to know that. 2, a law to enforce it if they do not pay the full amount that they have agreed upon.
The state will send us a statement every year as to what is being generated. Now let's say, I think it comes from the, I think it comes from PUCO, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
But when that comes in, then like I say, we will just divide it up like we normally would tax money. But now I've lost my train of thought. You stop me here. But
We were trying to figure out if there any enforcement if they don't pay.
oh, you asked about the thing. Let's say that this is a 200 megawatt.
Yes.
Okay, so they are to pay $7,000 on 200 megawatt, and if we have a bad year and they only generate 180, they still pay on 200. But if they generate 220, they pay on 220. So, but that the state tells us that number, and that comes through the power lines and that kind of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have any way of knowing how much they generate.
The question is, there's no law that you can put teeth into if they don't make a payment in full. There's just no law for it. We're accepting it as goodwill. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, local officials, county officials wouldn't have any authority to do anything to the solar companies based on that. That would have to come through the state.
Okay, now, if you go to have to remove these panels, how's the money going to be funded for that?
according to what we're told, is the state has the bonds to reclaim the land.
And how much an acre are they gonna cover? What's your-
I don't know.
Okay, I see.
All I know is the Development Service Agency tells me that that shouldn't be a problem, that the state takes care of that stuff.
Okay, I see a contract there for Dots and they had written in the contract to, only give $500 an acre if that happens. And I don't think you can remove it. Bill, I'll send it to you. I looked at it too and I'm like, what? But I'll send that to you and then you can look at it and address it.
My question is, why are we approving things on goodwill? Like, why are we not, I mean, if we're gonna do things and we're gonna do it the right way, and if we have to suffer all these consequences and we're gonna get this money supposedly, why in the world would you ever do goodwill? That doesn't make any sense. Like, who approved that? Like, what is the process of who decided, hey, this is a good idea? Because that makes no sense. Because I can tell you, if I had millions invested and I'm telling you that I'm gonna return back, my goodwill doesn't really mean that much. So I just want to know who approved that.
Good, Eddie. Terry, do you want to take that or Jeff?
Congressmen, senators, power siting board, you name it, I
There's
talked
no
to,
answer.
other than Governor DeWine is the only person in the state of Ohio that might have some effect on this that I haven't talked to. But what she's talking about, it supersedes these guys. I mean, I appreciate them all coming
They're
down.
powerless.
They are. Now, they can write letters to, or they can put in place in a meeting where, they're for or against or whatever. But again, I get they represent the constituents, both sides. There are some people that are for this, all for it. And then there are us that are against it. But what she's talking about is at the state level, they have no control over enforcing any of it. If Palomino or whatever you're talking about decides they're going bankrupt and the land needs cleaned up, well, then the state takes care of it. It ain't gonna be on these guys. They don't have anything to do with it.
Correct. A question that wanted to, before we get out, okay, there's two hands and that's enough. You two stand up, ask your question.
I've got one for the representative. Is there any way that you can get the sitting board or anyone to listen to the people of this room, of our community?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is there any way that you can get the sitting board or the governor to listen to the people of this room?
The siting board?
City board, siting board, whatever you call it.
Yeah, I can do exactly what I said I'd do. I'll support any letters that get written to,
But is there any way you could schedule a meeting or anything like that that would, that we could get without having to go to them?
I've never tried, so I'm happy to do it.
Come on.
The schools see any of this money?
I don't think any of the money comes from the developers until, my understanding is, they start generating power.
Is that correct, Bill Fawley?
2022, they will start paying in 23.
So what's the deadline for them to foul out of their timeline? Is it 2022? They have to meet the criteria according to the law. You understand the deciding, is that 2022? And do they have to be past the pending stage, or do they have to have a pole in the ground to be? No.
Past the pre-app stage, I think. They have to be approved.
They have to be approved.
23. 23. 23.
They got an extension on
23.
They have on all projects. Is that it? Okay, well, Mr. Welcome, thank you for joining up tonight and putting up with us. But we'd like for you to